Good morning or afternoon, everybody out there. Thank you so much for joining us today from Devo. I'm Michael McGinnis. I'm a senior security architect actually for Devo, and I'm excited to have you all join me today to hear about our next generation solutions from Devo. So before we get started, I kind of want to just first talk about what we're seeing out there. And so what we do is specifically at Devo, and I just want to take a step back and talk to you about the world we live in today. Let's start with the obvious. There's been an explosion of logs in the space over the last 20-ish years. Early on, networking and endpoints data were popular to feed into your SOC for analysis, but your IPS devices, your firewalls, and other high-volume devices have, obviously peaked up and started building out logs. So over the last 20 years, it's been just good. It's been kind of a good enough approach. And with things coming in such as IoT, transactional data, infrastructure as a service, platforms as a service, all these different technologies that generate logs that aren't just necessarily in your environment, but solutions outside of your environment where you're maybe not even hosting them. So you need all that data that's coming in to that to your SOC, and that means the SOC must deal with the explosion of data, which brings us to the pain for the SOC. Couple that with attack surfaces expanding and talent shortages, it's hard to recruit people, and the people that you do recruit spend significant time doing menial tasks. Additionally, regulations have ballooned. Budget pressures, obviously, especially in today's climate. And sometimes even the SOC value is being questioned. Even if everybody knows the SOC is a priority, the question is am I really going to get value for the money I'm spending on logging analysis? What's it doing for me? And that's the kind of thing we're all living in right now. So I'm pulling up another chart here. Let's see if I can, there we go. Or my computer will slow there. But the second thing I hear about from my clients is their solution's broken. The way I would summarize their solution as broken is that essentially they're hitting the SIEM scale barrier. There is an impedance barrier. It's defined by a number of use cases that you need to succeed in the SOC and the amount of data that you would need to ingest. They're being directly correlated, and they're running into that barrier where the old legacy appliance-based on-premise is just not able to handle it. You go from adding more data, as shown into the prior slide, to having different use cases, not just your core network and endpoint or XDR-like use cases, but also understanding what's happening in terms of fraud or in terms of different transactions that are happening across the system, such as user behavior. All these use cases drive the need for more analytics and more scale than just running into a barrier. Now, what I hear from our clients is that they have a lot of complaints about their current solution, whether, any of the traditional legacy solutions. I'm not going to get into names right now. They complain about queries being slow and not having full visibility of what they need. They must sift through a haystack of needles to find something valuable. Clients also complain about their solutions being moody, old, something they struggle with. And it's breaking their budget. I even heard a funny story about a customer who said that their current solutions budget had become about a third of their entire cybersecurity spend. And yet the rep for that company is showing up in a red Ferrari, selling them even more and more. Their solution it's just inflexible. It's expensive. It's slow. It doesn't scale. Causes alert fatigue. And at the end of the day, you're only getting a fraction of the logs you need. So that, to me, in reality, you have this explosion of data, and you have an antiquated solution in the SOC that doesn't help. And simply a reality of the market today. So here at Devo, we have this autonomous SOC, this vision of the autonomous SOC. And what this reinvents how security professionals work by providing complete visibility, analytics, and access to the latest community expertise and content. The autonomous SOC leverages advanced capabilities such as automation and AI, so teams can focus on critical issues to perform faster, effective incident response and detection to resolve threats on a large scale, cloud and legacy infrastructures. The autonomous SOC has the following elements. So you can see data here. Instant access to always hot data at any scale from any source, which provides high quality, actionable information about the attack surface. Of course, there's analytics, absolutely critical. AI and real-time analytics help teams identify advanced attacks, accelerate detection and investigations, and at the end of the day, reduce that response time. And of course, community. Expand all of your analysts' knowledge with access to to industry source content, on-demand expertise. You'll strengthen your SOC team's performance, of course, but you're also improving the organization's overall security posture. The autonomous SOC provides SOC leaders with access to the proper tools, workflow, expertise, enabling them to provide an environment that fosters excellence and employee well-being, all while protecting the business. It's a true win-win for the entire enterprise. So on this next slide here, I want to talk about the journey of the autonomous SOC. I can actually get it to load. There we go. So as I just spoke about, we have the data, we have the analytics and community. So with data, we're going to collect that valuable data that needs your full visibility. With Devo, the real benefit here comes off to really the top two bullet points that you're seeing in here. Since we're cloud native, we scale effortlessly. So as you bring more data sources in, you don't need to worry about adding hardware or infrastructure. It's all included with your licensing. You don't need to worry about maintenances and patching, all those efforts that come in from those hidden costs of having your SIEM solution in place. I mentioned also earlier, it's important to have access to that ready, available, hot data. And we actually are going to give you, included with your license, because we're built in the cloud, we're going to give you 400 days of hot data for those investigations. We don't really have storage tiers at Devo, so when we say hot data, it's more to keep it apples to apples. But what we're giving you is that benefit of actually going in and being able to look not only just at a year over year, but a year over year plus some days. So you can really see what the threat landscape, how it's changed in your organization. And then finally, when it comes to analytics, we're going to go into, first of all, identifying indicators of compromise in real time. Everything in Devo is real time, true real time, not 5, 10-second look backs. When I say real time, you think of it as a tail minus F in a Unix system. When you're doing a investigation, debugging, stuff like that. As the log's generated, you could search on it. Same thing with Devo. As that data hits the Devo processing pipeline, it's instantly actionable, whether it's searching, whether it's alerting, whether it's enriching. So we don't do the traditional parsing that you're used to with those legacy, SIEMs that are out there. We don't do that. Parsing to us is a virtual view. We're actually able to take things such as, threat intelligence or actions, and we actually automate them through a low-code approach to accelerate the orchestration of responses in your organization. And then finally, the community. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big believer. We're all in the same industry. We may work at different companies. I strategize even with my competitors on a daily basis, where we're taking advantage. We're all in the same fight. None of us want to make the news for the bad thing. We all want to be in the news for the good thing. So we actually have a community of not just content where you can bring it in, and I'll show you this in just a moment here, but also, we're going to be able to, we have our APIs that are built at the core of our architecture, where you can actually, use things like recorded future, for example, and bring that data in, use it for enrichments in real time, and everything that will make that possible and make all of your intelligence and actions not just faster, but meaningful. So everything you've been missing. So I mentioned this earlier in the previous slide where we were talking about, 400 days of hot storage when it comes to, bringing data into Devo. Think about what data you're leaving on the floor. Is it a cost saving, or is it a cost reason you're not bringing data in? Is it that you don't know how to bring that data in because maybe it's an advanced, you don't know how to parse that data? Maybe you don't have an indexing strategy for your data, bringing in, maybe it's a retention period. So all that is gone with Devo. First of all, our licensing for bringing data in is extremely competitive. It's actually one of the most cost-effective in the industry. But also, like I mentioned earlier, we don't really look at parsing as a means of bringing data in. So you can actually decide to bring a data source in, see what the value is. If you like it, keep it in. If you don't, we can remove it. It's not going to affect you at the end of the day. Once again, 400 days of hot storage. But also, we have a real strategic approach to deployment. So that when we do things, like for autonomous SOC, you can bring in that ingest, you have this platform, everything's streaming in, analytics, alerting, MITRE attack mapping, of course, orchestration, investigation, all real-time analytics, all done for you. It's just it's a true next-generation solution. Okay, with that said, I am going to attempt to, let me see if I can get my screen to bring up my demo environment, and I'd love to have the opportunity to show you there. Let's see here. All right, we'll try that again. All right, I should almost got it. All right, there we go. Okay, while this is coming up, all right. All right, let's go right into Devo. Sorry about that. Sometimes these programs aren't the easiest sometimes on my computer to share. Okay, so this is a live demo instance of Devo. So everything you're looking at, this is real live streaming data coming in. So the first thing I want to talk to you is about how we do searching. So we do offer the ability, if you have keyboard warriors that want to get on there, you can come in here, you can type out, whatever search you want to do. We use link queue. If you know SQL, pretty much know link queue. But the majority of my customers, or our customers, and when I say majority, I'd say about 99%, are just going to click through on their searching. And it comes down to this. Let's say I'm a network analyst and I want to know where people are connecting to on my network. So I could just simply come in here with that simple question, and I can just go on my firewalls. I could search across all my firewalls at the traffic data, simply click this, and it's going to quickly return back 400 days of firewall logs. And you'll see we've got some logs such as Palo, we got some Sophos, some Fortinet, lots of Palo in here, which is one of my favorite technologies out there. But you see all this data coming in, and then you'll see some null values. And I like to point out null values because you don't normally see this from somebody showing off their product where it's showing 0 results. I look at this as a strength of ours. We're still bringing back data. This is an example of us using part of our parsing. It's really just a virtual view to us so that we can actually, we know what you're bringing back or what you're wanting. We can intelligently re-identify these. Oh, wait, we can't identify maybe the reason field doesn't exist in Sophos, or in this case, it doesn't have it in this power log. We're still going to bring that result back to you. It doesn't affect the actual log itself because we know the data you want. So, but my original question being, hey, where are people connecting? So let's just go ahead and create a little bit of a search for myself. So I could simply come in here and just, like I said, let's create a country field, and I'll use one of the built-in enrichments. In this case, I'm going to go to type in country, and we'll go ahead and do this. And while this is building out the new search, it's going to run through all its results. There's 2 things I want to point out. One is the fact that anytime I do an enrichment, it's just going to automatically append it to the data. So as I scroll over here, you'll see. But this is another example of how we do that, by parsing. It's just a virtual view to us, is that if there is a change, let's say that in a log file or something like that, you don't need to re-ingest all that data because we're never affecting that raw data coming in. We're searching always on this raw source. So as I get over here, I'm just going to go ahead and grab this country column. We've got a lot of columns here. So I'm just going to go ahead and simplify this just a little bit for myself. I will go ahead and we'll group in this by country. Let's get that destination IP. All right, I get grouped there. And we'll simply just bring back, the country code and the IP addresses of where we're going. Let's clean this up a little bit. And I'll go ahead and click here. Let's go ahead and filter out these null values because they were probably just non-routable IP addresses. No. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of weight here so we can see what people, what the number is. And I'm a very visual person, so I'm actually going to put this on a quick map. And let's go ahead and we'll just call this one latitude, and I'll use that same maximize database that we have built in here. Latitude, and of course longitude. All right. Now all I have to do is simply just come in here and throw this onto a quick map for me. So I can just grab my latitude column, my longitude column, and my weight. Let's go ahead and throw it right here. And I can't drag and drop it. There we go. Quick, simple, easy map. Shows me everything that, everybody's, connected to. Maybe not the most useful, but it is to me as an analyst in this use case. So all I want to know is where people are connecting to. Go ahead and minimize that out. If I want to, I could save it up here. Not a problem. And then if I really wanted to, or one thing not if I wanted to, what I want to show you actually in here is the ability that we actually source control all of the searches. So if you notice in here, hang on one moment here, as I click on this. So as you see in here, we've got all this code in one of these lines. Let's say this was a much more complicated search. Let's say I've been working on a threat hunt for a couple hours, something like that. And let's say I made a mistake early on. Let's go back to where I've created an account. I'm just going to go ahead and take this destination IP and go ahead and create a column of nothing. Just more of an example here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this node look again. You'll notice in here, Devo's intelligent enough to fork off that code or the search code that I just did. And now I can simply merge over all the work I've already accomplished. There's a column I just created, but I didn't have to go in and reinvent the wheel or repeat work or copy and paste anything. We present that information and empower your engineers and your analysts to leverage that full audit trail that we have as a true SIEM. I also want to take a moment here as well because, we did a visualization here. We do have the notion of dashboarding, or what we call active boards. Same thing, standardized reporting, if you will, where you can come in here, build it around your use cases that are for you. Or I mentioned earlier the importance, and actually my favorite thing, which is our community, our Devo Exchange. It's an app store. Not really big about bragging about app stores, but I do like to brag about this. Everything in here is so vetted that it falls under your support contract. So think of it this way. If it's 4 in the morning and you're trying to install something, or you've already installed it, you can open a support ticket if you're having issues. There's documentation, there's support paths for everything. And all this content in here, the majority of it comes from our services team or our technology alliance partners like Palo, like AWS, like Recorded Future. That's where this content's being developed from. And of course, from our customers as well. Also, since we're talking around the security, and I brought up, our exchange, or the Devo Exchange, I always like to bring up one of my favorite applications that's in here, and it's our MITRE Attack Advisor. I think this is really cool. And the reason I think this is really cool is this is actually going to take all that data that you've got coming in, all the alerts, everything in there, and it does 2 things. One, it's pretty straightforward and obvious. It's telling you what coverage, where you're getting alerting, what's going on in your environment. And you can see right now we got about a 14.9% coverage of visibility to the MITRE Attack framework with the data we have coming in the Devo. If I simply just click here and check across that full matrix, you'll see here's the whole thing. These are all the holes that we have here. I hover over this informational bubble here. It's going to tell you, first of all, what it is, but also if I come down here and click on it, it's telling me what I'm missing. Maybe it's some sort of alerting. Maybe it's a data source. Most common one is hey, look, you're bringing identity in, but you're bringing in, Active Directory, but you're not bringing any contextual information. Or you're bringing in firewall logs for north-south traffic, but not bringing in east-west traffic. So it's tough to detect that lateral movement. So this is just an example of something that came out of our community that allows our analysts allows us to empower your analysts to take advantage and to build out their security posture for the ever-expanding threat landscape. And the last thing I'm really wanting to show you here, the combination, this is actually what we call our security operations. This is more of a layered-on application. It's sort of a combination of that MITRE Attack framework, where it's security-focused alerts brought from our SciSec team, which is our security research team. And 2 things I want to point out. Any intelligence, we don't have a notion of, we don't have that same notion of bringing over, or when data comes over, we don't have the notion of, content packs or, minor system updates. What we do is data or threat intelligence is streamed in to the platform. So you always get the latest and greatest. So, but when an alert's triggered, you can see how we're doing this. We're doing the actual, prioritization, a description. We're mapping that tactic and technique of the MITRE Attack framework. And as these cases are created, they're automatically generating cases in Devo SOAR, which is our newly acquired product, our newly released product, I should say, to help with that autonomous vision. This is that low-code approach to response. And you can see it here just from the from the case analysis library of what we're automatically doing for you. The who, what, why, where, key information of an investigation. Why, what was the alert? Why did this alert occur? But my favorite part's actually at the bottom. And this is coming from somebody that used to be a CISO and has been an analyst all his life. I love this part. So why not? That turns off the happy ears of not just looking at why this is a risky, why this alert fired off. But here's some reasons why not to be concerned about this. Now, in this case, is a critical alert. Of course, there's nothing listed in that one. I kind of wish there was. But there are, for example, let's say that this was an account that was locked out. And these are all the reasons, executive privileges, maybe it's a physician or something like that. All this stuff. You get down to that why not. Change password last hour. password expired, password was changed, maybe they just forgot their password. So we're giving you that type of information. Of course, any automated tasks, probably not going to have enough time, we won't have enough time to go through this today, but the ability to run specific tasks such as enrichments, all the way from enrichments to pulling alerts, to even going out locking accounts, shutting, quarantining off a VLAN, all that type of information, or all that ability right there for you to actually take action on from the actual ticket. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, and I'm going to pull back up and see if there were any questions. And let's see what we got here. So I've got one. So we get a lot of questions from the business, and they're taking in log X. How does the next-gen solution like Devo solve this question? Are we ingesting logs? I love that question. The way we ingest, there are multiple ways we approach that. One is through that, like that MITRE ATT&CK Advisor. MITRE ATT&CK Advisor is perfect for that, where it's like, look, we're bringing in all the logs we know of. What are we missing? Help us out. That's what those type of applications are for. The other benefit is, or the other way we handle that is through, let's take, for example, if you have a syslog server or just an open, where all your data is flowing, we can bring that in, and our tagging mechanisms will allow you to, first of all, identify the data coming in, but also it's going to give you sort of a checklist or a punch list of here's all the data we're seeing. What out of this list do you know that you have, that you're missing, or what data is in here that you didn't know existed? What's going on? So we actually have a very strategic and a strategic approach. We don't do rip and replace at Devo. We either do a lift and shift if there's an incumbent SIEM solution, or if it's a no SIEM in place. We lead first with, okay, let's identify our sources. Then we'll get to ingestion, and we'll get there, but let's identify the outcome that we're wanting from here. And with that said, I am going to stop talking for a while, and I want to thank everybody, first of all, for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to speak with anybody new to the industry, veterans like myself in the industry. We're always here for everybody. I love this community. That's why I've spent the last 20 years of my life in it. And I look forward to hearing back from you. Of course, you can always find me on LinkedIn, LinkedIn on Michael McGinnis on LinkedIn. And of course, you can always reach me at michael.mcginnis@devo.com anytime. Thank you again, guys. Have a great day, and stay safe out there.